For the first time since 2020, Fort Dodge, Iowa, hosting the NJCAA Cross Country Championships, though this spectacular view was 24 hours ago as the weather shifted, as they say, mightily, and to the winter variety. Snow greeting the athletes all day long as we get set for the final division of the day. It'll be Division 2 as you look at the current weather conditions. Still snowing, still cold, and it's still Paul and Trevor joining you for the final two races of the day as the Division 2 athletes will get out onto the course. The men will race at 8 kilometers. Wrapping up the day will be the women at 5 kilometers. And Trevor, it's been obviously a pleasure to work with you today. We've got some great races, some dominant performances like out of Odessa in that women's Division 1 race we just saw. We've had some tight battles for wins. We've had the host school, Iowa Central, win the Division 1 title as well. But now to Division 2 with that snow still offering us a chance to talk about conditions that no one really expected a few days ago.
Well, you saw those pictures. I mean, it went from autumn to winter pretty quick here. But if there's a couple teams or one big team that's prepared for it, certainly it's Lansing. They're a dominant force. The Stars coming over from Michigan, and you know they've got the number 6, 9, 10, 11, 17th runners, so a lot of depth. I don't know if Wallace State or Des Moines area can challenge, but Wallace State definitely has their eyes looking ahead. They were third last year. They've been improving every year. If anybody could challenge, it's maybe Wallace State, but Lansing looking for their third straight title and their 9th overall could be big for them.
As he mentioned, Trevor did, the last two victories for Lansing coming in 2023 and 2024. And then, of course, on the individual side, we've had some great depth and great talent. We've had a couple of runaway races. You figure this one to be a little more on the competitive side, Trev?
Yeah, I think so. Boisseau, the Frenchman for Cowley College, certainly leading the way, but Brady Agar and Alex Martinez, both of Paradise Valley. Agar actually is a Salt Lake transfer. We mentioned they cut their track program after winning the national championship in cross country last year, so that kind of caused a bit of an exodus and really shook things up a little bit. But Agar, Martinez, you know, a lot of things have gone close to script today, but there's still the chance for things to go really haywire with weather like this. So this is the form chart now. Boisseau certainly with the chance to take the overall victory, but anything could happen out there when in these kind of conditions.
No question. The conditions have been, deteriorating a little bit. I know the folks involved with staging this event have put out some, whether it be bark dust or some sort of dirt to try to firm up some locations on the course. You know, it's just above freezing, so a lot of this snow is kind of turning to sloppiness pretty quickly. But the teams in Division 2 fill in that line as they get set for this men's race scheduled to go off here in just a few minutes from now. And, we talked about it all day long, Trevor. I mean, this is another great reflection of, the beauty of college athletics at this junior college level. A lot of these kids getting a chance to compete and participate in that college experience in all three divisions so far, with this one to finish writing the book that I'm pitching here, is that, everyone has come to run at a championship race and have, given it their best effort, and, the conditions are the conditions. We're just here to do our best, and we'll get that gator across the line one final time as you can pick out your favorite teams and individuals as we get set for the racing in Iowa.
We talk about Lansing, but we talked about Hutchinson in some of those previous races as well on the team side, and we look at what a team's best finish has been historically. A couple teams to keep an eye on here. Paradise Valley, we mentioned a strong 1-2 with Agar and Martinez. I don't think they have the depth to challenge for a big top spot, but maybe. They were 4th a year ago. They've got their in-state Arizona rival Mesa, who was 5th last year. So there's kind of always a subplot going on there as well as a spot, as a battle for the very top spot.
Runners getting ready as we are scheduled to go off at exactly 2:30 local time. That's still about 45 seconds away, but everyone's got their fingers on their watches because if you don't time it yourself, it probably doesn't happen.
It's not on Strava. It doesn't count.
And our last men's race of the day on this championship Saturday in Fort Dodge, Iowa is underway. It's the Division II National Junior College Championship. Good, healthy, strong, maybe our largest field of the day here, Trevor. Maybe a little bit bigger than that Division I race that we saw as we get the start list up for you on the left side of your screen. And these guys will gather together ever so gingerly in these early few hundred meters or so, and then they'll get funneled into the main part of the race course. They'll basically do 2 4K loops if you're just joining us for the coverage here at the Lakeside Golf Course. And as we've seen all day long with that gator out in front of them, the leaders are running on those gator tracks to try to find some firm footing in the early going.
Yeah, and I think it was our men's Division I winner who we heard say, Cornelius Kogo of Hutchinson, say, it's not the most challenging course necessarily, not a bunch of big hills or things like that, but there are a lot of twists and turns. I kind of likened it to an F1 course, if you will, with the back and forth, and as you mentioned, multiple loops of this 4K loop. So getting to know that course, you see the tire tracks, you've mentioned that, running in those treads really helps. And it doesn't seem like we're having quite as much active snowfall now. Well, it's tough to tell, but certainly the wind has picked up, and that can be a challenge. But already we have an early leader. This is something we haven't seen with this big of a gap out of any of the men's races so far.
Yeah, we get splits at every kilometer here out on this race course, so that'll give us the opportunity to identify all the athletes in the lead, and as well, those all-important team scores in the midst of it. Look at that group in the chase mode now here as we get them out on the course. As Trevor mentioned, things are lightening up a little bit in terms of the snow in the area, but on that backside of the storm, that's where the winds could certainly pick up, and you're kind of going back and forth in opposite directions, so it's going to be pretty hard to avoid the wind at one point in this course. Keep an eye on those flags adjacent to the race course as well. So one of the spectators has a little bit of a struggle with the footing there, and getting set for our first kilometer coming up here any moment.
Well, as we said in the preview, you asked, Paul, is it going to be a little closer? I thought it might be. Esteban Boisseau, I believe, is our leader here for Cowley, and Brady Agar, Alex Martinez really are the class of the field. A couple guys on the outside of 25 minutes, Tyler Anthony, Cal Schnepp, of Wallace State and Mesa, respectively. But Esteban Boisseau, who I believe is our leader here, trying to make quick work of this one and open up a gap where the chase pack seems really, content to run together. And I mentioned it throughout the day, but coaches have said bad weather compresses the field. So obviously you don't want to get tripped up. You don't want to get in too much traffic. But if you're a favorite, just go to the lead and see what happens. That's what Boisseau seems to be doing.
Well, we're getting those 1K splits now, and listed as the leader is Lansing's Nate Carmody, with Brady Agar in second, and Evan Suridam of Lansing in also that second position as they came across that timing apron at 3:07 flat. Lucas Hopkins of Lansing in 4. So Lansing with 3 in the top 4 and 4 in the top 7. In fact, all 5 of their runners early on, Trevor, in the top 10, according to those live stats.
Yeah, Lansing already put in on a clinic here, and, Coach Jim Robinson says any of these top 8 guys could score on any given day. So when you have that kind of depth and that kind of confidence, that goes a really, really long way. Look at that gap. It's only 1K into an 8K race. Certainly doesn't tell the whole story just yet. A lot of things can shake out differently, but boy, that is quite the gap on Mesa and Paradise Valley as of now. Lansing has to be confident through the first K of this race.
Yeah, the other thing easy to identify with the Lansing guys is the striped shorts that they wear at the championship level, which is kind of a cool tradition that the coaching staff is there, and kind of an honoring of legendary coach Alcarius, who kind of invented that look, and kind of an incentive for these guys. They get to wear that when the championships come around, and great look for them.
You stole my fun fact there, Paul. You're too well researched. But hey, that's part of the fun of cross country. And when I was in college, the qualifiers got a big shirt with a Q on it. It was just a white T-shirt with a Q, and that was it. But it means so much more when you're working towards something. You're exactly right. Getting to pop those candy cane striped shorts on and know that you're in championship mode. I think there's something special about that.
Coach Carius, long storied career at North Central College, and sadly lost his battle with cancer back in September. Had a chance to interview him when he was inducted into the Coaches Hall of Fame, and was a rock star, I think, to a lot of coaches around the country who really saw him as a guy who could prove you could develop talent and be successful in that kind of small college environment. He did it well for almost a half century. Meantime, the racing continues here in this men's Division II championship race. In our last men's race of the day. And Lansing, the story on the team side, but so running a solo effort here in front.
Well, and for Lansing, it never goes exactly according to form. Certainly, we talked about Nate Carmody there. Evan Sudam has moved up, Lucas Hopkins. But Sudam is actually a guy who's really happy to be back here racing. He raced on the 2023 team that took the title, but missed all of 2024 just about. He was banged up there, so happy to be back. You don't often see that in the junior college level, obviously, but it can be really tough to come back from an injury when you're still kind of trying to find out where you're going to be, at the next level there. So credit to him for coming back and getting out on the course and running really well here so far.
Well, that's one of those things that happens in some of these events where every one of these athletes would have a chip inside of their bib, and it could be that our leader's chip is not attached anymore, and so that leader, as you could even hear in the background, Mike J., the PA announcer there, identifying Carmody as the leader. That's what's listed on the live stats, but he's obviously in that chase group along with his Lansing teammates. So coming up on the 2K split, still no Boyceau is listed in the leaderboard, but a strong performance by Lansing as they continue to dominate through 2 kilometers. Mesa in second with 87 points.
Yeah, Lansing with 5 in the top 10. I mean, just absolute domination so far. And this is kind of what we expected. Now there's, a gap back to their 6 and 7, but who cares, because you've got your top 5. That's all that matters. Really good pack running from them. And it'll be interesting to see. We haven't really seen pack movement away from a chase group, if that makes sense. We've seen 1 or 2 people string out. We've seen somebody make a move at the front to pull away and take the victory, but we haven't necessarily seen a group move as a team with maybe 2 or 3 people away from a chase group. So it'll be interesting to see if Lansing does that, or if they're content to kind of hang tight and say, look, we're in great position. If we keep our grouping, nobody's going to come close to us.
So nearly 9 minutes elapsed. Again, 8 kilometers the distance. So through a quarter way now as they work through these twists and turns. You can see on that lower part of your screen with the stationary camera just how mucky that stretch of the golf course has been, trodden down by 4 previous championship races to get us to this men's Division II final. 2 kind of 4-kilometer loops here for the men, so they do see the course again for a second time. You see the athletic course tracker at the bottom of your screen, a kind of visual representation or a graphic representation of where they are coming in now to the closing stages to get to a 3K split where we can update things.
Well, and I have to say, Paul, kind of conspicuous in their absence. Wallace State down there in 5th right now, not in contention by any means. They were 3rd last year, as I said, their highest team finish ever. They had a perfect 1 through 5, 15-point score at regionals. Now, to be fair, that doesn't always tell the full story with so many regions. There's some that are stronger than others, certainly, but you have to admire that kind of pack running no matter what. Their spread was 31 seconds. So different course, different day, different competitions certainly factor in all those accounts, but you'd have to think that Wallace State was maybe going to make a bit more noise early on here. We'll see if they can move up at all.
So 3K splits coming through now. Lansing with all 5 runners still through, and with 36 points has control of this team race. And Esteban Boisseau comes off that little hill. He's running so fast, no one can keep track of him right now. Again, those live results you see, absent our leader, who's not getting picked up by the timing mats. So Boisseau, maybe one of the bigger climbs. In fact, it was where we saw the winner in the Division III, Paul Clark. That was kind of where he made his move on the second time around to break away and clear from the field. The drone back up in the air, thanks to our great production staff on site. You can see that lead continues to be a big one. There's a good host of runners behind that leader trying to get back into contention for perhaps a late stage attack for the victory here in Division II.
Well, you certainly hesitate to make any bold proclamations before even halfway here, but we're coming up on that 4K mark, and it's just Lansing is going to be very, very tough to beat. Looks like the striped shorts are providing the necessary inspiration, I suppose. 66 points last year. They won by 36 points over second place, and bringing back 4 returners, that is huge at the at any level, but certainly at the JUCO level. 8th to 21st last year. Looks like they're going to even better that result. Again, not to speak too early, but as they get into this second loop here, Lansing seems to be very well in control and tightly bunched.
Well, you look at the heritage of Lansing. When they have gotten good, they have stayed good. They did back-to-back titles in 91 and 92, won 4 straight between 96 and 99, and then now back at the top of the podium in 23 and 24. So they've never been a one-off when it comes to performing at the national championship level, and here in good control. What a look from high above. That is just a confluence of runners on the race course, spectators and coaches traversing these winter landscapes, trying to get another vantage point to cheer these athletes through what is nearing now the halfway mark of this men's 8-kilometer championship race in Division II. Our live coverage of the 2025 NJCAA. And Boisseau continues to lead here, well ahead of Aiden Jackson of Dawson and the Paradise Valley's Brady Egar. And then the Lansing group all within, 7-8 places of each other. They are running as a pack, and they're running as a pack near the front.
I always appreciate when a place actually draws its inspiration from what it is. So if you call it Lakeside, there's actually a lake to be beside. So credit to whoever named the golf course here. I certainly appreciate it. But confident running out in front. I mean, there's been no hesitation here as an early lead. This is what we haven't seen, was somebody going straight away to the front and just continuing to pull away. Nary a peek behind him. Boisseau continuing to pour it on. Yeah,
we don't have a official time differential between first and second. That listed first-place runner of Aiden Jackson is actually the man who is in second place right now. As we try to look at it again from high above, I'd call it about 10, 12 seconds, Trevor?
Yeah, it's long enough that the elastic has snapped, as we like to say. There's not a ton, certainly not insurmountable. It's a long race, but that's more than just giving him a little breathing room.
So on to the second half of this race, on to the second loop around the course here at Lakeside Golf Course, as they wrap up the men's side of the equation of the 2025 National Junior College Championships. Iowa Central, the host institution, done a great job of giving these folks a championship type of experience. And still to come, of course, the half marathon championship that is also contested at the junior college level. And nearing 16 minutes elapsed, still following that gator track is Boisseau.
And I'll say it again, confident running. You can kind of tell he's got to go a little wide there, avoid the post. But, this is an interesting look because of those loops that come around and the twisty turns you do. You get to look back and see where everybody's at, even without making it obvious you're peeking over your shoulder. So a slight advantage, I think sometimes, there's no break in the mental game, if you will, or the mind games being played. But I don't think he's focused on any of that at the moment. Boisseau looking straight ahead, trying to take this title. He knows coming in as one of the favorites, he says, hey, I'm the favorite, and trying to make sure there is no drama in this one.
Just went through the 5-kilometer split. And Carmody and Hopkins of Lansing are now second and third in that grouping. And so Lansing continue to have their top runners near the front, though they're starting to lose a little bit of traction. With the 5 of them were in the top 10 for the first half of this race, Trevor, but the group now starting to lose some of their guys on the back end. Jesse Carson now in what would be 11th place if you add the missing Bousseau from the listing of runners. So keep an eye on how Lansing is doing here. And, just also want to remind folks that these are all unofficial results, as, if we're having problems with one bib sensor, and we might be having problems with multiple bib sensors at this point. Wallace State now has 5 runners across with 166 points, but that would be a massive shift in result, Trevor, as Lansing was performing very well through the first 4K of this race.
Well, and anything can happen in an 8K race especially. We've seen people drop out. You get a DNF, and then it's a huge gap back to your next guy. So certainly anything can happen, even to the favorites. But as you said, we say that all with an air of caution. Take it with a grain of salt. We'll get everything sorted out by the end, certainly, to make sure that everybody's being accounted for. But look at that gap continuing to grow as we see the wide open area here on this Lakeside Golf Course. And boy, that's Iowa, isn't it? Just wide open space, and changing from day to day. We saw those beautiful images from a day ago. This is beautiful in its own way as well, but makes it challenging out there for the runners. Doesn't seem to be bothering Boisseau at all.
No, reminiscent of what we saw Mildred Rono of Hutchinson do in the last women's race in Division I, as she took control of the race and was really never tested. Ran one of the faster times you would see on this course, even if the snow wasn't there. And Boisseau, in a similar fashion, has taken control of this race, and now it's basically a solo effort, as he's got a little less than 2.5K to run. He's going to make some twists and turns and points in the course now, where he also, Trevor, can get a gauge of where he is vis-a-vis the rest of the competition.
Well, and I think the fact we've talked about the differences in how it manifests with the 5K course versus the 8K, and I think part of that we've seen is a little more patience from the men early on, maybe not at the start of that D1 race where they really wanted to get going and had to reset, but in general, they come through, even the leaders that end up towards the front, they say, hey, I'm going to take my time, nobody's too far out in front, let me give it maybe 2K to settle in, and then I'll start to make my move. So the moxie here from Boisseau to go straight out to the front. He wasn't waiting at all. He said, I'm going to pour it on right from the beginning. And, I mean, that is just total and utter confidence in yourself and your ability. If he ends up winning this thing, it will be well-deserved.
So they're through 6K now. As the clock now over 20 minutes elapsed in this 8-kilometer race, so less than 2K to go, a little over a mile for Boisseau. At least the good news is the race course is a bit more visible than it's ever been on this day, as the snow has started to subside, and probably better conditions now for the racing, even though the ground probably a little bit wet and a little bit sloppy.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to compare what the athletes think. That's exactly what I was going to say, is that it is more visible, you know where you're running, but a little bit melted as well as Boisseau takes this hill. So, at the end of the day, everybody's running in the same conditions, and so you have to just make the most of it and work with what you got, and that's certainly what he's doing here.
Through 6K, the team scores had Paradise Valley with the lead with 104 points. As we had mentioned, Lansing had been leading at 4K. They had 31 points with places 3, 4, 5, 8, and 11. And then we lost some of their guys at 5K, though they were listed as 1, 2, 10, 46, and 164. Just not sure what to tell you about the current status of that team race, because Lansing does not have a listed fifth runner across the timing mat at 6K. And as we've mentioned for a while now, the leader in this race, Boisseau, has not been picked up by the timing mats as well. So, partly maybe due to the conditions and things starting to melt a little bit, and you just don't know what to say about the official results. We'll get them to you just as soon as we can get confirmation from the timers at the finish line.
Yeah, I think we can confidently say there's some issue here, because, as you said, it doesn't seem to be picking up everybody and trying to do it in real time, compare from the different splits and see who are missing. So certainly anything could happen. We could have multiple dropouts potentially. That would be a big disaster for our favorites coming in. They're really, really heavy favorites. But as you see Boisseau trying to keep his balance there on the little whoop-de-whoop there, up and down. But we'll see. We'll shake it out. Maybe it adds to the drama a little bit here. Paradise Valley, though, still running well. We knew they would on the top end, certainly with Agar, Martinez, but they're backing it up well. And got to come through and put all top 5 where it matters.
And Trevor, I was just trading text messages with Mike J., who's, again, public address announcer on site, no stranger to calling races in Iowa, and he actually has also confirmed that Boisseau is the leader, and one of his teammates, which we don't have the name of yet, but somebody else from Cowley College, is actually now running in second, but also not getting picked up by the timing mat. So that may be a team issue here. We don't know and don't want to speculate why we're not getting that data from the Cowley runners right now, but kind of helps us confirm what our eyes have been seeing here on the coverage, that we've had a different leader than the live stats have shown through most of this race. And inside now, the last kilometer of the race, starting to make the final moves towards the finish line that is coming here shortly after another long run down this outside portion of the Lakeside Golf Course, and then finally that all-important turn for home.
We'll do our best as they finish, as the timers certainly will, to identify everybody. We'll see if we can catch a peek at their bib numbers as they come through, but I guess it adds a little involuntary drama. How about that? We thought we might have a couple issues early on with the snow and the weather and things, and it's held on really, really well. And I always say this, credit to the timers. Certainly, it is a tough job with so many bodies out there. And like you said, maybe there's a team issue or something with the bibs, but we'll get it all sorted out one way or the other, and the first man across the line will be the champion when the chips fall as they may.
Even if the chips have already fallen, if we're talking about timing chips in this case. But here's that final swing. I know. It's dad joke hour here on our live coverage on runnerspace.com.
I'm getting dizzy from your turns of phrase, Paul. That's why I get the big bucks.
I appreciate that. All right, we can see the finish line. So too can our leader, Boisseau, who's going to wrap up this 8-kilometer run and pick up a national championship in Division II. As Esteban making quick work. You see Lansing there with a couple of runners. Now 3 runners in view. So, again, what we thought was Lansing was doing their job on the team's side. A little bit of early celebration from Boisseau as he fist bumps members of the crowd. Now he's working his way down the finishing chute, and you can celebrate when you've had this much of an advantage all day long, as Esteban Boisseau is going to be your national champion in Division II in the National Junior College Championships.
Well, give him all the credit in the world. Like I said, he took it out from the very beginning and left zero doubt in anybody's mind that he was going to be the national champion. He was 11th a year ago. He said, why don't I drop one of those ones and just make it a first place overall? Boisseau with a really, really impressive run to take the win.
And Nate Carmody is the first Lansing athlete across the line, right ahead of his teammate Lucas Hopkins. Evan Sadum is also across the line for Lansing, so they have 3 guys in the top 5. Looks like there's another Lansing bib there coming into view. Maybe not in the top 10, but I see at least 2 Lansing bibs now coming into view, as we had, again, lost, I think, some of their athletes getting populated in the live results in these last few kilometers, but it would appear Lansing is in control of this team race. I think that's 4 across for them now. And I see another Lansing bib coming into view here on the left side of your screen. So the folks from Lansing, looks like they've done what they've needed to do to amass a win here in the men's Division II championship on the team side, now confirmed at 34 points, as the rest of the field now comes to the line.
Well, and I mentioned it before, but I got to shout out Evan Sudam there in 5th. He finishes in the top 5 and 3rd on the team. That's how deep they are. It's incredible, Lansing. But he was on that 2023 team that won the national championship. He was the number 6 runner. He 44th overall, and he moves up after a year off from injury, coming back to take 5th and contribute to this team, what will likely be a team win here, as we now see all 5 through, all in the top 15. So really, really impressive running top to bottom from Lansing.
Love to see the effort from these runners coming in through the mid and latter portions of the race. Every single one of them a championship racer today in the final men's race of these junior college championships. See Des Moines now with 118 points in 2nd, ahead of Paradise Valley and Daytona State College, with Mesa 6 points ahead of Wallace State, who currently sits in 6th overall with 250 points. So surprise for Wallace State after coming in as the number 2 ranked team in the country. Will not get a spot on the podium, it would appear, in this Division II men's race today.
Third straight title for Lansing. They won by 36 points last year, which is a very, very solid win, but we'll let this shake out, see exactly how much it is. But, I mean, very, very impressive to put almost 100 points on the team behind you, especially at that top end. Just incredible running from Lansing. And we tried to give them their due throughout the race. We saw how closely bunched they were early on. But as it stands, 2nd through 13th, that's their grouping. Incredible running.
Everyone running that single file track to home, as it's you can definitely see the accumulation of the snow here at the finish line, and most everyone choosing that well-traveled path to the finish line, as we still have dozens of runners still out on the course, well over 200 starting the line here in Division II. We're expecting to have a chance to hear from our winner, Esteban Boisseau of Cowley College, here in a moment, as Mike J. will step in and provide a little bit of perspective on the winning effort there. That was, a race that was pretty much over a kilometer into this race. The only thing we had to figure out is who it was.
Like I said, a little forced injected drama, I suppose. But I always love, on a day like this, championship with multiple levels or multiple races, even during the regular season, where you get to see, as a fan, different types of races. We've seen duels, we've seen group running, we've seen breakaways towards the end, big dominant moves. We've seen lead changes, even from teammates. We saw with Kogo getting the win on that previous race for the men. So this was just another iteration of a great race to watch with Boisseau. There's still some drama. Hey, did he go out too hard? He was number 1 coming in, but not by that much. It wasn't so much so that you thought it was a foregone conclusion. Well, it was in his mind, and he made sure that the rest of us knew it. Like I said, upgrading from 11th last year, that's a big jump, and it's even bigger to take home the gold.
Keeping the camera here on the finish line so you can check and watch one of your athletes you've tuned in to watch come to the finish line. Teammates helping these athletes out, as well as that's another great aspect of this sport, is the team dynamic here at play, and everyone wrapping up a long and successful junior college season that has ended here in Iowa at the national championships.
Paradise Valley, who we mentioned, they end up there in 3rd, improved from their 4th a year ago, and they get another one over on their in-state rival, Mesa, down there in 5th. Well, hey, it's a little different than Arizona. I guess it snows in northern Arizona, but this is some tough Midwest weather, so even more impressive, I would say, coming up from a little further south and a little bit warmer weather to perform so well on this kind of day.
And if that unofficial score for Lansing of 34 points hold, it'll be the 3rd lowest score in the history of Division II, as the lowest score was Rend Lake out of Illinois. Has had a number of successful teams over the years. They had a 23-point winning score back in 2023. Lansing had a 27-point total in winning one of their titles in 1998, and they had 37 points in 1992, winning their 2nd national title, and again 34 points here. So Lansing proving once again that when they're here to run, they run together and they run well, and they did it again today with the 3rd lowest score in Division II history. Last few runners coming to the finish line. We're just moments away from hearing from our winner, Esteban Boisseau, with Mike J. We'll also keep this finish line camera available to you as well, so you can see these last runners come across the line. But a winning time of 26 minutes, 15.8 seconds for Cowley College's Esteban Boisseau, and he is with Mike J.
And we are back at Fort Dodge with our Division II men's champion, our last men's race of the day, Esteban Boisseau of Cowley College. An impressive second half of the race today, and just took command. 11th a year ago and a champion today. What do you credit that to?
Just very happy. Like, I was not scared, but like just a lot of pressure, because I know I was like, all people was like expecting me. But so I just decided like to go all in and yeah, like see what's happened. And
well, when you moved to the front, you stayed up front, but an impressive, like I say, the last 3,000 meters were very impressive today. You had to be confident. How were the course conditions for you?
I mean, it was hard, like I think, like for everybody, but I felt good. I felt like it was smooth and just like cold, but I was prepared for that. Like mentally prepared, not very physically, but mentally prepared like for whole race. So yeah, it was very tough.
Region champion, national champion, region runner of the year. You've had a great season, young man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Esteban Boisseau, Cowley College, your Division II men's champion.
Thanks very much, Mike. I'm not sure they get a lot of snow where he grew up in France, but Esteban made quick work of this course, and again, in the international flavor of what we're seeing on all levels of collegiate track and field and cross country. We've had some international athletes win in earlier divisions, but now a runner out of Europe steps to the line and wins this Division II title after an 11th place finish last year. Our final race of the day will be the women at 5 kilometers. That's scheduled to go off at the bottom of the hour, 3:30 local time in Fort Dodge, Iowa. Wrapping up this men's race. See that the moisture continues to fall. Maybe not as much snow-like now, Trevor, and starting to see that grass that they were having to shovel to find in the early going now starting to reveal itself here. So I think temperatures are getting above freezing and transitioning more into the wet conditions that they had sort of expected a day ago.
Yeah, a little bit more sleet or slush. Now the wind was also a factor. You can see, well, I guess as I say that, it's a little bit sideways coming in, but you can see it's not quite as much snow like you said. It's a little bit softer there, and seems like the wind on those flags is not quite as much as it was, but that is just a brutal combination. Again, we're showing that kind of low 30s temperature, but certainly feels colder than that out there. That is just impressive running in these conditions by all of these athletes on a great championship Saturday here. Like we said, true cross country, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been one of the truer tests of cross country that we've seen over the years. I mentioned a U.S. USA Track and Field Championship in Bend, Oregon one year that had a whole bunch of snow on it. We've covered events in the late stages of November and December, thrown all kinds of weather at the athletes, but these athletes have still got a reason to celebrate as they finish off their 8K in this junior college championship. Esteban Boisseau, the winner in the individual side of the race. Lansing Community College with a commanding ownership of that win. You see an 84-point delta between Lansing and Des Moines Area Community College. Paradise Valley finishing in third.
One of the things, not to look too far ahead, but certainly it's always fun to think about what these athletes can do coming up on the track. And Boisseau's a steeplechaser. He's got a 9:12 personal best. He was a finalist at the Junior College Nationals this past spring. So definitely with that tall frame and this powerful stride of his, and the confidence now to boot, I think he's going to be a fun one to watch coming up in the spring season when he gets a chance to get over those barriers outdoors. And plenty of French distance running pride to go around. Jimmy Gressier has really produced for them on the world level and has come up through those ranks and really got known as a cross-country runner himself early on, maybe more so for his antics, I guess in combination with his running prowess, Jimmy Gressier, but now he's known for what he's doing on the track and just impressive stuff. And I think that's all it takes sometimes is one. When you get somebody from your country that, you know, is able to do it. And I mean, Jimmy Gressier, like you said, world champ over 10,000 meters. I don't think anybody had that on the big board, and picked up a bronze as well this past summer in Tokyo. So just impressive stuff. And Boisseau, the Frenchman, following in his footsteps, perhaps.
Well, we've mentioned all day long, that's the great part of this National Junior College circuit, is we often see these athletes, after transitioning through those 2 years of eligibility, to move on to a four-year college, perhaps move on to international experience there as the final runners come through to cap the final men's race of the day, the Division II championship. And while we had a full field of almost 350 runners here, Trevor, in Division II, Esteban Boisseau just decided that I was going to run ahead of them, and I wasn't going to care how far I got ahead of them, and it didn't really matter in the end, as he had a 13-second victory margin by the time it was all over, and that included some celebrating in the final 400 meters to the finish.
Yeah, and I wish I could give you the time differential throughout his splits. Unfortunately, we didn't get that, but I tell you what, he left absolutely no doubt. Look at that gap. We got a good look at him here going up this hill, continuing to power away when he could have let off. Now he gets to celebrate a little bit. Sans bottle of champagne, as Gressier may have done. But Boisseau with a great big win. And on the team side, the heavy favorite delivered there as well. He talked about their team spread for Lansing Community College, 2nd to 13th. How about this? A 50-second spread between their first and fifth runners. That is domination.
So as the final finisher comes to the line in the men's 8-kilometer distance of the Division II NJCAA National Championship meet here in Fort Dodge, Iowa. Reminder again, our final race of the day coming up at the bottom of the hour, as the women will race the 5-kilometer distance. And that will wrap up the 6 championship races on this championship Saturday. Congratulations to every single runner towing the line and getting to the finish on a very different kind of day than the warm-up day was yesterday. And congratulations to Esteban Boiseau of Cowley College. She's the national junior college champion in Division II. We will crown a women's individual and team champion in the same division in a few moments. Back live in Fort Dodge, Iowa, the men's 8K getting their final runners across the line. As we will transition in a few moments to our last race of the day. It'll be the women racing at 5 kilometers today.